The committee is concerned by the complicated, suspicious network of over 20 companies we have identified the Bidens and their associates used to enrich themselves. Most of these companies were limited liability companies formed during Joe Biden's vice presidency.
This week, Republican lawmakers mapping out in the greatest detail yet a trail that they claim shows President Biden and several members of his family making millions from foreign sources, including communist China, and that he may have leveraged access to the White House to do it. To help break this down, we are joined by a member of the House Oversight Committee, South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Congresswoman, thank you so much for taking the time. The Oversight Committee outlined a complex web of foreign contacts, shell companies, and business transactions that allegedly involve 9 members of the Biden family, including, interestingly, funneling money perhaps to a grandchild.
Yes.
Tell us what we learned this week, Congresswoman.
That is 100% correct. And if I had a dime for every leftist media person that said, where's the evidence? Well, we showed evidence this week of bank records from 4 different banks. They're up to a dozen banks so far, up to 9 Biden family members that were getting money from communist China, from Romania, from our adversaries around the world, including one probably unwilling participant, a Biden grandchild, nieces and nephews, a brother or a son, current wives and ex-wives. No one was registered as a foreign agent. There's no business plan. Why were there dozens and dozens of shell companies having this money funnel from communist China and Romania and other places, Russia too, to the Biden family members if they weren't getting access or paying for access? And when you look at the records of the vice president, the revolving door of Hunter Biden's clients, and you see that Hunter Biden and maybe other members of the Biden family were paying Joe Biden's bills, where does it end? Yeah.
Now, you said that none of them were registered as foreign agents. Do you believe that there were FARA violations here, which would be criminal in nature?
This is the tip of the iceberg. We are just getting started. We've had less than 100 days of subpoena power. The FBI clearly and DOJ are not doing their job. We need to make sure that we provide as much evidence as possible and do, if it requires, a referral to the DOJ, since we cannot press charges. We need to follow the facts where they lead us. And I can tell you, in seeing the bank records and suspicious activity reports, there's no excuse for the tens of millions. And we're up to 10 million right now, but I'll tell you, it is far greater than that at this time. And the left needs to decide if U.S. presidents are above the law. The left needs to decide if the law applies to everyone or only Republicans at this point, because the American people don't trust the government.
Congresswoman, let's take a listen to a little bit more of what Congressman Comer had to say at that press conference.
President Biden has claimed since the 2020 election that his family has not received money from China. That was a lie in 2020, and he continues to lie to the American people now.
Now, if you we're going to put this chart up here. If you're looking at the chart, you can see just a sample of how the Biden family has allegedly made millions, a large portion there, and this is just one chart, coming from China. So it does seem, Congresswoman, more apparent than ever that the president did lie about not being involved with his son or his family's business dealings. Looks like he lied when he said his family never took any money from China, and he lied. He said he never met these folks that his brother and his son were doing business with, who we now know have been to the White House dozens and dozens of times. A lot of Americans are asking if this is just slimy and swampy, or is it illegal? Does this cross a line?
I believe this crosses a line, whether it's unethical or illegal. We do need to strengthen America's laws when it comes to pay-to-play schemes, when it comes to enriching your family enriching themselves because of your name or your position in U.S. government and politics. It's unbelievable to me that this hasn't been investigated to the full extent of the law by the FBI or the DOJ. We were also told that the laptop wasn't real, that we were all conspiracy theorists. And I've been able to call the balls and strikes on both sides of the aisle when I've seen corruption by either side, R or D. And yet we've been lied to over and over again. Secretary Blinken, even let a letter with former CIA and FBI guys that said this was Russian disinformation.
Right.
Turns out all that we've been talking about for years now turns out to be true.
Yeah, and the media has, of course, barely covered this story, other than Newsmax and a couple of others. What little coverage it has received has just been dismissing the Oversight Committee's claims. The FBI has now failed to turn over a key document allegedly showing President Joe Biden traded policy changes in exchange for cash payments during his time as vice president. Again, it is a whistleblower came forward with a bribery allegation against the president, but they won't give you the information. How will the committee pursue getting that information?
Well, certain members of the committee have actually seen the document. We know the document exists, and based on Christopher Wray and the FBI's reaction to our inquiry about the letter, we now know that the documentation exists. I'm going to be urging Senator Grassley and Congressman Comer to show their cards on this. We need to show how deep the federal government is going to protect the Biden family. The American people deserve to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this instance. And we've got to show that we're willing to hold both sides accountable. And Republicans and Democrats alike need to hold ourselves accountable as well.
Real quick, just 15 seconds, Congresswoman. What's next to your IRS records from these various members of the Biden family? What's going to be the next step?
There will need to be more subpoenas, more bank records. There's going to be more requests for suspicious activity reports because we found out there are more Bidens involved than we realized. There are more bank accounts involved than we realized. We even have bank account information from an unknown Biden, and we need to figure out who that one is.
Right.
And show the American people. It's going to take some time. This is still at the start of our investigation. Yeah. This is just the tip of the iceberg, and Comer and other members from Oversight will show the American people what evidence we have.
Who is the big guy? That's what everybody keeps on asking.
We all know that, the answer to that question.
South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, and happy Mother's Day this weekend.
And to you.